Is Putin going to start a nuclear war?
No more than he would have had over the past 2 years or more. And in fact, this may actually be a prelude for negotiations and so pathway to peace.
I mean, are we actually going to be discussing peace or ceasefire negotiations anytime soon? And I think we're at that stage now where if we look at a 12-month outlook, every scenario is just as credible. And yes, I guess Trump presidency 2.0 would bring what we can say the opportunity for discussions. But do you think the preconditions for actually reaching an agreement are there?
What we know is that there's a window of opportunity for negotiations now with the election of Donald Trump, who repeatedly said that he wants to end the war through a deal. Fine. And I think most stakeholders in the conflict, Russia, Ukraine, Europe, the global south, everybody understands that, and everybody is willing to give it a try.
I guess we're at a stage where both sides are trying to maximize their positions. Russia advancing as much as it can along the front line, the prospect of a new offensive, trajectory towards the city of Zaporizhia. And on the other hand, I guess President Zelensky, I think it was a pretty big moment last week when he said, well, we're not going to aim to retaking Crimea militarily. So it's going to be down to a diplomatic solution, which it is, I guess, in his eyes, one way of opening up to Donald Trump, I guess, and showing that he's ready to make some kind of concessions in that regard. To me, it seems like the sticking point on the Ukrainian side is who's going to provide us with security guarantees.
So in essence, it takes two to tango. So we know the best case scenario for the Kremlin. They've reiterated it multiple times. They basically want a surrender of Ukraine, more territory, demilitarization, and possibly a removal of Zelensky's government, no NATO membership for Ukraine. There's a long list. What is Putin willing to strike off that list? We don't understand. For Putin, at least, continuing the war for another year is a better option because he might credibly see that he will get more out of it. The war allows Putin to explain away all the trouble at home. Inflation, the struggling civilian sector of the economy, the political repressions, the asset redistribution that is disturbing the elites. All of these are written down because there's a war on. Once the war ends, Putin will have a lot of problems to solve. So that definitely leaves an opportunity for Putin to put out maximalist demands, which brings us to the potential more war in 2025.
I mean, if negotiations start, whichever form, the war is going to continue. It's Russia's way of making it clear to the West and to Ukraine specifically that they cannot win this war. So obviously the responsibility on the Ukrainian side to kind of get in a better spot in 12 months' time falls not just on the West to kind of provide assistance, which we know that Donald Trump may actually withhold assistance as a bargaining tool to force Ukraine into a peace deal. So it's not necessarily a matter of receiving advanced Western weaponry, having the removal of all the restrictions, such as the ATACMS last week, but also on Ukraine's side to figure out a way to get enough manpower and allocate manpower accordingly with a clear path towards, in 12 months' time, we will be in a better position to negotiate a deal. And at the same time, probably banking on the fact that Russia may be in a worse position than it is now, 12 months' time.
We should not overestimate the power and the resources at Russia's command. They're not endless. Their losses are staggering in Ukraine, as we know. They keep on recruiting, but they pay more and more for their recruits. Can they sustain this? We don't understand.
One thing we've learned is that momentum can swing, or momentum will swing at some point. Now it's been in Russia's favor to some extent for about a year or so. 12 months' time may not be the situation. I think both sides are losing, but at different pace. But I guess when it comes to answering those three questions, probably uncertainty is everyone's favorite word right now.
I think if there's a key takeaway is that yes, negotiations are possible, will in fact probably take place. Are they going to end in a peace deal or more war? That's very much up in the air and up to the key stakeholders, especially Trump and Putin. Okay, so to sum it up, what's your take? Are we going to have peace in 2025? How likely is that?
My take is that the war will continue for several more months after Trump is inaugurated president. However, negotiations will probably start at some point, but alongside the war of attrition.
So maybe, but not fast.